Hello and welcome to this session. So we'll see in this session the standard deviation and the normal curve. Okay, so we know that mean is the balance point of histogram. We already seen to draw uh, a mean. So some of the points are on the left hand side and some of the points are on right hand side, and we have the balance point as a mean. So unlike the mean, the standard deviation is usually not easy to identify by looking at the histogram. So mean is the balance point that we have observed, but we cannot identify standard deviation directly. However, there is one shape. Okay, so even though it is the case, there is a one shape of the distribution for which standard deviation is almost clearly identifiable, okay, as the mean. So that shape is called means that shape is bell shape, and that is bell shaped distribution. So a roughly bell shaped histogram of the data. So consider here the distribution of heights of mother, and we have got example about 1174 mother newborn pairs. The mother's height have mean of 64 inches and standard deviation is 2.5 inches. Unlike the heights of basketball player, the mother's height are distributed fairly symmetrically. Okay, in last session, we have seen the height of basketball player, like they are not normally distributed, and means 87 is the highest height and 69 is the lowest height. Okay, so it was not symmetrically distributed, but we have taken this data set babies.csv, which is symmetrical about the mean. So to read the table, we have in data science table dot read underscore table method. Then we take the heights variable, and there we take only one column, baby dot column maternal height. So that column only we take, and now from that whole table baby dot csv, it has multiple columns. From that we'll select maternal height column. Then we find out mean height by using np dot mean function. Okay. So np dot mean function gives after many decimal point. So we just round up that decimal point to one decimal point. Okay. So mean height is 64. So when we run this, when we compute the maternal height uh, column mean, then we'll get 64 as a mean. Okay. Then compute the standard deviation in the same way, np.std heights, and round up to the only one decibel up to 1 decibel place. It is 2.5. Okay. Now we got the mean and standard deviation of the distribution. Okay. So here what we'll do, we'll draw the histogram. Okay, as here it is given that unlike the heights of the basketball players, the mother's height are distributed fairly symmetrically. Okay. So mother's height are distributed fairly symmetrically about the mean in bell-shaped curve. Okay. So it is fairly symmetrically distributed, and that we can see over here. Okay. So that is the histogram on the variable maternal height, and the beans are in the range 55 to 72.5, and step size is 1. Okay, so we know that what is this np dot a range function. We are just taking this on a x-axis, starting from 55.5 and ending with 72.5. This one represents the step size, means we are increasing this 56.5 to, so this cells whatever we are taking this vertical cells, it is of size 1 and unit here is an inch. Then we have position is equal to np dot a range minus 3 to 3.1. So the position we are giving on the x-axis, and it is just a formula like np dot a range function. I'll just show you how it will work so that you can understand. Np dot a range minus 3 is the starting point, then second parameter is the ending point, and step size means it will start at minus 3, then minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So here it is a 3.1 as it is exclusive, so we have to mention the greater number than 3. Okay, so you will get the array like minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0. So that means here we are getting the list starting from minus 3. So we'll multiply this minus 3 with standard deviation of height. Standard deviation of height is 2.5. So minus 3 into 2.5. So we'll just do one calculation so that you can understand. Minus 3 into 2.5 plus 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 is mean height. Mean height is 64. So SD height we have taken as a 2.5 and mean height is 64. So we'll take over here 64. So when I run this, I'll get 56.5. Okay, so that is the starting point over here, 56.5. Then we take the next point as a minus 3 into 2.5, minus 2 into 2.5 plus mean height 64. Okay, so likewise we get 59, 61.5, 64, 66.5. When we get 64, when we have the 0 means in that list, when point comes over here, that means this is so here itself we can understand 0 is the mean 64, and this is left hand side of the this minus 1 is left hand side of the mean, and plus 1 is the right hand side of the mean. Then minus 2 is the 2 is the 2 standard deviation away at the left hand side, and this plus 2 is a 2 standard deviation away at the right hand side. Okay, likewise we have minus 3 and 3, and this is the just computation and plot x position. So whatever the number will be there, that we compute through these positions, that will plot on the x-axis. Okay, so plot x-ticks. Okay, x-ticks is 56.5, 59, 61.5. So these are the some calculations. The last two lines of the code in the cell above change the labeling of horizontal axis. As I explained how this x-ticks will work, it changed the labeling of horizontal axis. Now the labels corresponding to average plus minus z x-ticks. As I have explained, 0 SD means mean. Okay, so it is in the middle. Then plus 1 standard deviation away is 66.5, minus 1 standard deviation away is 61.5, then plus 2 standard deviation away is 69.0, and minus 2 standard deviation away is 59, then plus 3 standard deviation away is 71.5, and plus 3 standard deviation away is 56.5. Okay, so z is 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3. Because of the shape of the distribution, the center has an unambiguous meaning and clearly visible at 64. You can see that it is a clear shape and it is this middle value is 64. That is a mean. Okay. So next point is how to spot the standard deviation on a bell-shaped curve. Okay. So we have to spot the standard deviation on a bell-shaped curve to see how the standard deviation is related to curve. Start at the top of the curve and look towards the right. Okay, so we start over here at the top of the curve and look towards the right of that curve. Then notice that there is a place where a curve changes from looking like an upside down curve to right away curve. So it will upside down to right away curve. So it will look like that. Indeed, there is a really just one basic curve. Oh, sorry. Uh, the curve has a point of inflection. Okay, so formally the curve has point of inflection and that point is one standard deviation above average. Okay. So first point of inflection is 66.5. Here we can see 0 and one standard deviation away is this point. This is called as point of inflection, and this point of inflection, uh, that point is one standard deviation above average, and it is z is equal to 1, which is average plus 1 st, which is 66.5. So here we can see 66.5. Okay. Then symmetrically on the left hand side of the mean, the point of inflection is z is equal to -1. So here we have 61.5 is the point of inflection. On this diagram, this is the point of inflection on the left hand side, -1, where this horizontal line touches to this curve. Okay, that is the point of inflection. Here also uh, at the positive one side, it is a point of inflection. Okay. So, in general, for bell-shaped distribution, the standard deviation is distance based, the distance between the mean and the point of inflection on either side. Okay. So, we can see on bell-shaped distributions, the standard deviation is the distance between mean and the point of inflection on either side, on the left hand side or on the right hand side. Okay, so that is the distance between mean to the point of inflection is called as standard deviation. Okay. Then the standard normal curve. Okay, all the bell-shaped histograms that we have seen look essentially same apart from the labels on the axis. Okay. So when we see bell-shaped distribution, they are same. Okay. Indeed, there is really just one basic curve from which all of these curves can be drawn just by relabeling the axis appropriate. So we can just relabel the axis here and accordingly we get the curve. Okay, to draw the basic curve, we will use units into which we can convert every list. Okay, so we use the units and that units are called as standard units. Okay, so the resultant curve is therefore standard normal curve. Okay, we know that what is the formula for the standard unit. Standard unit formula is number minus mean divided by standard deviation. Okay. Any number minus mean of that list divided by standard deviation of that list. Okay. So whenever we use standard unit, at that time the resultant curve is called as standard normal curve. The standard normal curve has impressive equation. So here we can see the equation phi of z. But for now, it is best to think of it as a smoothed outline of a histogram of a variable that has been measured in standard units and has a bell-shaped distribution. Okay. So here we can see that this is the formula phi of z is equal to 1 over root 2 pi e raised to minus half z square. Okay, so we know that what is the value for e. Already I have conveyed you to put the value for the pi is 3.14, and what is the value for e, and z is the value for the uh, standard deviation, means one standard deviation away or two standard deviation, and it is measured in standard unit. So this is the curve, like this standard normal curve has mean 0, which is mu is equal to 0, and sigma is equal to 1. So sigma is equal to 1 means standard deviation is equal to 1, and it is in between minus infinity less than z less than plus infinity. So it is starting from minus infinity and ending with plus infinity, and phi z maximum value of this phi z is zero point 0.4. Okay, so here you can see it is touching to the y-axis where the value is 0 0.4. Okay, so as always when you examine a new histogram, start by looking at horizontal axis. On the horizontal axis, the standard normal curve, the values are in the standard units. Okay. Already I have shown you how to compute these in a standard units. So here are some properties of the curve. Some are apparent by observation, and other required considerable amount of mathematics. Okay. So there are some of the properties are apparent, but some required mathematics. Okay. So we'll see the properties of this standard normal curve. First property is the total area under the curve is 1. Okay. Here, as far as MSc exam is concerned, you may get question like what is the total area under the curve of standard normal curve. So it is a 1. So you can think it as a histogram drawn to the density scale. Then the curve is symmetric about 0 for the mean. 0 means means. Here for standard normal curve we have mean is equal to 0. So if a variable has this distribution, its mean and median are both 0. Okay, so it has the distribution like symmetric distribution, and mean and median both are equal. Okay, so here also you can expect one mark question. The point of inflection of the curve is at -1 and +1. Okay, so that is apparent. Then if variable has this distribution, its standard deviation is 1, and the normal curve is one of the very few distribution that has an SD so clearly identifiable on the histogram. So whenever we use this standard normal curve, then standard deviation is clearly identifiable on the histogram. Okay. So here we can see that uh, we are thinking like smooth histogram, and the total amount of data by area under the curve. We can get the uh, means we want to represent proportion of the total amount of data by area under the curve, and total area under curve in this curve is 1. Okay, so area under smooth curve are often found by calculus using method called as integration. So uh, in first module we have seen the integration method, how we compute the area under curve. We start from minus infinity to plus infinity, and if something is means the range is given like a to b and other places 0 are there, then we take the integration directly a to b, and minus infinity to a we keep the 0, and plus b to plus infinity we keep the 0, and we find out the integration of that middle one. Okay, so therefore area under curve have to be approximated, and that is why almost all statistics textbook carry tables of area under the normal curve. So we have uh, whenever we use this, uh, we need integration. So in order to uh, we do not want it to solve by using integration, we have the table which contains the values of normal curve. Okay, it is also why all statistical system, including model Python, uh, include methods that provide excellent approximation to those areas. So there is a method from in a Python which is from SciPy import stats, okay, which will provide us the area under the curve. Okay. The standard normal CDF. So the fundamental function of finding areas under the normal curve is stats.normal.cdf. Okay. It takes the numerical argument and returns the area under curve to the left of that number. So whenever we specify any number, uh, the area under curve uh, left to that will be shown. Okay. And this CDF is called as cumulative distribution function. So cumulative distribution function we compute by using this stats.norm.cdf. Okay. Uh, and that rather unwidely mouthful is abbreviated as this cumulative distribution function is abbreviated as a CDF. Okay. So let us use this function to find the area to the left of z is equal to 1. So in exam you can expect this kind of equation, like find the area to the left of z is equal to 1. Z is standard unit value, and means it is in a standard units under the standard normal curve. So we can see that we want to find out area left to the z is equal to 1. That means this yellow mark area. Okay. So we want to find out area left to this one. Okay. And middle part, whenever we consider this mean 0, it is symmetric, means this standard normal curve is symmetric about mean, means total as per the property total area under curve is equal to 1. Okay. And if we consider left hand side of the 0 and right hand side of the 0, then both are equal, means 0.5 zero point 0.5. So we can see here that uh, area, whenever the question in exam will be like find the area to the left of 0, okay, or right of the 0. Okay. Then without any calculation, without any hesitation, you can say that the area at the left hand side of the 0 and right hand side of the 0 is 0.5. Okay. But here we have it is asked that uh, find the area to the left of z is equal to 1. To the left of z is equal to, so this is the shaded region by yellow color that we have to find out. Okay. So the numerical value of the shaded area can be found by calling stats.norm.cdf. And as we already seen here, this the fundamental function of finding area under normal curve is stats.norm.cdf. It takes numerical argument and returns all the area under the curve to the left of that number. Okay, to the left of that number. That means whenever we mention 1 and it is in asked in this question to get the area uh, uh, at the left hand side. So luckily the question is same, and whatever the function is giving the answer, it is also same. Okay. So stats.norm.cdf 1 is giving 0.84. Now if suppose the question, inverse question is there, find the area to the right of z is equal to 1. Right of z is equal to 1. So in that case you have to consider this function like how this stats.norm.cdf will work. It will work that take the numerical argument and returns all the area under curve to to the right, to the left of that number. So we'll get, so whenever we write here 1, then we'll get the area at the left hand side. But in the question, if it is asked that find out the area at the right hand side, then you just take 1 minus that area, 1 minus 0.84, then you will get the area at the right hand side. Okay, so that's about, so previous question, area to the left hand side, it is about 84%. We can now use symmetry of the curve and the fact that the total area under curve is 1 to find other areas. Okay, so the area to the right of z is equal to 1 is equal to 100% minus 84% is equal to 60%, 16%. Okay, and it is written in exam, you may get the question like minus infinity less than z less than 1. Okay, so that means find the area to the left hand side of the 1. Then here for the right hand side, 1 less than is equal to z, not less, 1 less than z less than infinity. Okay, that is the area to the right hand side of 1, and it is 1 minus stats dot norm dot cdf 1. Okay, it is 0.15. Then the area between z is equal to minus 1 and the z is equal to plus 1. So whenever we say minus 1, we'll get to this function stats dot norm dot cdf, we get the left hand side of the this minus 1. Okay, and we have to pass this. Okay, let me explain this point again. So the question is that the area between z is equal to minus 1 and z is equal to 1. Okay, so how to compute the area between z is equal to minus 1 and z is equal to plus 1, as it takes this stats dot norm dot cdf takes only one argument. If we pass minus 1 as an argument, in between means this shaded region by yellow color. Okay, so when we pass this 1, we get the total left hand side area of the 1, but we want to neglect the area which is left hand side of the minus 1. So by using this stats dot norm dot cdf function, we get this area left hand side of the minus 1 area, and then we subtract with this 0.84. Okay, so 0.84 stats dot norm dot cdf, it is 0.84 minus stats dot norm dot cdf minus 1. So we'll get the area as a 0.6826. Okay, so by similar calculation, we see that the area between minus 2 and 2 is about 95%. So we have to neglect the left hand side of the minus 2, and this area is 95%. Okay, so in bell shaped curve, uh, from this we can understand in bell shaped curve, about 95% of the data is spread across two standard deviation away from the mean. Okay, so in other words, if the histogram is roughly bell shaped, the proportion of data in the range average plus minus 2 SDs is about 95%. So proportion of the data in the range average plus minus 2 SDs is about 95%. Okay, so in previous point, we have seen the Chebyshev's bond, so it was different, and now we got a different proportion of the data in this particular. That is quite a bit more than Chebyshev's lower bound, which is 75%. So plus minus 2 SDs, Chebyshev's bound was 75%, and it is weaker because it has to work for all distribution. Okay, so here we are only considering the normal distribution, and Chebyshev's bound will consider all type of distribution. So if we know that distribution is normal, we have good approximation to the proportion, not just bounds. Okay? So the table below compares what we know about all distribution and about normal distribution. Okay? So here it is the comparison given between Chebyshev's bound and standard normal curve. Okay? Standard normal curve, and this all distribution means Chebyshev's bound, and normal distribution is standard normal curve. So plus minus one standard deviation. So let's go here. What is the distribution that we get plus minus standard deviation? It is 68%. Okay, so we have computed here. It is 68% for the one standard deviation away, two standard deviation away. It is 95%. Okay. So about 68% from the mean, uh, average plus minus 1 SD, then about 95% plus minus 2 SD for the normal distribution. For all distribution, one plus minus 1 SD is 0%, at least 0%, and for two standard deviation at least 75%, and three standard deviation at least 88.88%. But here in a normal distribution we have 99.73%. Okay, so this is about the standard normal curve. Then firstly we covered the central limit theorem, as we have already covered that central limit theorem. So we see the central limit theorem. Okay, so here one example is shown, like net gain in roulette. So we have 0, 0, 0 and 1. So this is the particular game. Based on that we have to find out how many winnings are there, and when we get 0 we get -1, when we get 0, 0 we get -1, when we get 1 we get 1, 1, 2 -1, 3, 1, sorry, okay, yeah, when we get green we get -1, and when we get red we get +1, and the winning red is here above 50% and here below 50%, and the winning is also normally distributed. Okay, so here then just see the so here the second example, which is average flight delay. Okay, so there we need this United Summer .csv file. In that file we have the delays of the flight will be there, and uh, so for initially we'll take the mean of the delay and standard deviation of the delay. So mean of the delay is 16.65, and standard deviation is 39.48. Okay. So suppose we sample 400 delays at random. Okay. So from that total data we sample 400 delays. We'll see. So there are total 13,825 flights data is there in this United Summer 2015.csv file. From that we take the 400 flights data at random with replacement. Okay. So what we can do over here, uh, we can take many such sample. Okay, so in the sample what could average delay be? We can expect 16. So whenever we take the sample we expect that delay to be a population, means it is similar to be a population delay, that means 16 or 17. So that is our expectation, because that's the population average, but it is likely to somewhat we cannot get that exactly delay which is of a population delay. So we have considered here population as a 13,825 and sample as a 400. Okay, so we use this delay and sample the delay on column delay. Okay, and then check the mean of that particular column. So we got 15.59. Okay, now what we'll do, we take the same sample size 400 and we do this same experiment for 10,000 times. Means we have total 13,825 flights data is there. From that we take we use with replacement strategy, and we take first 400, then again 400, again 400. Such experiment we do for 10,000 of times, and for each sample. So initially we have 400 means 400 delay data. So compute the mean and put into the array. Okay, so here sample is equal to delay sample and sample size is 400, and compute the mean on that uh, column delay and append the mean on this empty array. Okay, so we'll get such 10,000 means in this once we run the loop for 10,000 of times, we'll get means 10,000 means we'll get different 10,000 sample, and we get 10,000 sample means. Okay, and we after running that loop we'll put that mean of the samples to the table dot with column sample mean, and we put that array into that particular column. Okay, and if we draw the histogram, we can see here that our population what we can say, population mean is 16.165. So the middle part, which is means if we consider the frequency here, 22% of the time this 16.65 has occurred, and it is just few uh, point, means here 14, 12, 18, 20. Okay, so once we see a rough bell shape, even though we are drawing from a survey of skewed distribution, so this data we got from this skewed distribution, but we have taken the mean of each month. Okay, even though we are taking it from the skewed distribution, the bell is centered somewhere between 16 and 17. Okay, as we expect. So our expectation is there. So central limit theorem, the reason why the bell shape appear in such setting is a remarkable result of probability theory called as central limit theorem. Okay, so this is because of the central limit theorem, and the central limit theorem says that the probability distribution of sum or average probability distribution of sum or average of large random sample drawn with replacement will roughly normal regardless of distribution of population from which the sample is drawn. Okay, so this theorem says that probability distribution of sum, here we have taken the mean. Okay, we have not taken the sum, mean of large random sample drawn with replacement. So we have also used with replacement strategy, will be roughly normal. So here we can see the mean of sample means is a roughly normal regardless of uh, the distribution of the population from which sample is drawn. Okay, and as we noted when we were studying Chebyshev's bond, the results then can be applied to random samples regardless of the distribution of population are very powerful. Okay, and because in data science we rarely know the distribution of the population. Okay, so without knowing the distribution of population, we are from the uh, inferring about the population through the sample. So central limit theorem makes it possible to make inference with very little knowledge about the population. So central limit theorem is very important concept, and we have seen many example on this. Okay? And that is why it is central to field of statistical inference. Okay, here is one more example. Okay, so we have uh, the table with column named colors, and it contains purple, 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 and white. Okay, so this is the experiment that was done by Mendel's experiment. So those who have gone through the biology, they know the Mendel's experiment. So the color column is there, and we make array of this. So total number of plants is 200 and repetition is 10,000. So here what we can do, sample is equal to model dot sample. So we take the sample of size 200 and new proportion is equal to np dot count non-zero sample dot column color is equal to purple. So whenever we get the color uh, purple, we count that, and otherwise we discard. Okay? And divide by number of plants. So proportion is equal to, I think, okay, so that point we'll see in next. This becomes too heavy to digest to you, so here we stop, and in next video I'll make that content. Thank you.